The Cape region in South Africa is home to an incredibly diverse array of plant species. Within an area of just 90,000 square kilometers, there are over 9,250 species of flowering plants, 70% of which are found only in this region. Over 80% of these species are comprised of fynbos, the focus of this documentary. Fynbos consists of 150 to 170 species per 1,000 kilometers squared, nearly 3 times that found in tropical rainforests. Not even the richest parts of Amazonia come close. To put this into perspective, while the 90,000 square kilometer Cape Floral Kingdom hosts over 9,000 plant species, the whole of tropical Africa harbors 30,000 plant species in almost 20 million square kilometers. Fynbos has huge value, both economically and ecologically. Its economic value has been estimated to be worth around 10 billion rand per year. Some of the uses of fynbos include being used in the making of rooibos tea and honey tea, the thatch roofing industry, for buku, a valuable herbal medicine, and in the flower export industry. All these industries support large-scale employment and bring in large revenues to South Africa. Also contributing to the economic value of fynbos is its unique water purification and erosion control qualities, as well as the tourism its boundless beauty attracts.
I love fynbos!
Fynbos is full of amazing ecological adaptations, interactions and dependencies. A large variety of animals, birds and insects play a role in fynbos pollination and dispersal. These include sunbirds, the chukma baboon, half of South Africa's frog species and thousands of butterflies. Apart from the benefits of fynbos to our economy and to the environment, the importance of fynbos has been highlighted through the adoption of the king protea as South Africa's national flower. Even our national cricket team are known as the Proteas. Indeed, the unique and hugely important Cape fynbos is rightfully a great source of pride in South Africa. It is perhaps fitting that such floral diversity is found in the rainbow nation that South Africa is. In order to protect South Africa's environment, including fynbos, the South African government has recognized several important international agreements and conventions. Firstly, South Africa has adopted the Convention on Biological Diversity, which was entered into force on 29 December 1993. It has 3 main objectives. Firstly, the conservation of biological diversity. Secondly, the sustainable use of the components of biological diversity. And thirdly, the fair and equitable sharing of the benefits arising out of the utilization of genetic resources. Secondly, South Africa is a member country of the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. The aim of this convention is to ensure that international trade in specimens of wild animals and plants does not threaten their survival. Such a convention is of particular importance to fynbos, much of which is already threatened and in high demand by the international flower industry. Thirdly, and most recently, South Africa participated in the Dresden Declaration on Biosphere Reserves and Climate Change. On the 28th of June 2011, South Africa, along with the other participants of the conference, issued the following declaration. Climate change mitigation, adaptation to climate change and the conservation of biological diversity are among today's key environmental challenges. Rising to these challenges requires strong political commitment and decisive action worldwide. South Africa has attempted to meet its international commitments through a number of domestic measures. The basis for these measures are found in the Constitution, under Section 24, which relates to the right to a safe environment, and for the environment to be protected into the future through legislation which prevents pollution and ecological degradation, promotes conservation, and which ensures sustainable development and use of natural resources. 3 of the most important pieces of legislation which have been introduced in South Africa which concern biodiversity include the National Environmental Management Act, introduced in 1998, the National Environmental Management Protected Areas Act 2003, and the National Environmental Management Biodiversity Act 2004. The question one must ask, though, is whether the legislation in place realizes the goals and objectives of Section 24 of our Constitution. Are important pieces of our national heritage, such as fynbos, being adequately protected? Despite these comprehensive legal measures being in place, a significant percentage of fynbos is critically endangered and is on the IUCN Red Data list. 2 major threats facing fynbos are human interference and alien invasive species. Human interference most often comes in the form of the need for development. This creates a particularly difficult situation in a developing country such as South Africa, where there is a constant and growing need for housing. The Jack Miller Park Core Conservation Zone in Bellville, Cape Town, provides a good example of the tension which exists between the need for development and the need for conservation. This is the Jack Miller Park, located in Belleville, Cape Town. It has been identified as a critical biodiversity area for its incredible array of fynbos. You can see behind me the spectacular array of fynbos which makes up most of this park. In 2003, a report on the diversity and uniqueness of the vegetation in the Jack Miller Park was produced. It showed that more than 80 locally occurring indigenous plant species were counted over an area of approximately 5 hectares, a figure considered to be conservative. One must wonder whether the legal measures in place are providing adequate protection to these critical biodiversity areas, when these crucial reserves of fynbos are under such pressure. On our arrival at the Jack Miller Conservation Zone, we found that part of the park was designated as a construction site, and that a large tract of land had already been cleared for construction. The City of Cape Town has undertaken a R15 million project to create a facility which will host major events, a gym and a tea garden, all within the ecologically sensitive conservation area that the Jack Miller Park is. It is debatable whether these developments are necessary to the extent that they outweigh the need to fully protect the crucial reserve of fynbos which exists in the area. This is but one example of how the legal measures in place are not being implemented in a satisfactory way. In addition to human interference, fynbos faces a severe threat from alien invasive species. These species have no natural predators, block crucial sunlight from reaching the low-lying fynbos, are often heavily draining of water resources, and lack the water purification and erosion control qualities of fynbos. A visit to the Table Mountain National Park revealed a worrying encroachment of gum trees on the indigenous plant species. One can see clearly here the effect which the gum trees have had on soil erosion and on the level of undergrowth. There exists a comprehensive and progressive environmental legislation that recognizes the value of biodiversity in South Africa. However, in reality, biodiversity, particularly in the form of fynbos, continues to be threatened. We, as South Africans, must become more aware of the incredible diversity which exists in our country. We must be more protective of the value it adds to our nation. Otherwise, we risk the possibility of losing a significant part of our national heritage.